Hi guys, my name is Andre van Staden. I'm a Venom Lures Africa ambassador in the Limpopo province. I do fish some tournament trails, but other than that, I'm just a normal angler that loves the sport like most of you guys out there. Today we'll be looking at some of the offerings from Venom Lures in the jigs department. We are making these videos to educate some of the anglers about the Venom products that are available. Tell you guys what has worked for us in the past, and from my own personal side, I like passing on what I've learned. And one of the big issues that we have in South Africa is, and I guess all over the world, especially when you start amateur tournament angling, is guys are reluctant to share information, and it's understandable because there's money involved and leaderboards, that type of thing. But to become a better angler, I feel that I want to share what has worked for me in the past and pay it forward. Next time you can help someone else. Firstly, let's take a look at the types of jigs available. This is the Venom Lures swim jig. It's a very nice lure. Let's open it up. Now, swim jigs is exactly what the name suggests. You swim them. These lures rarely touch the bottom, although you can fish them on the bottom if you like. They are searching baits. I guess you can call them the crankbaits of the jig world. You'll notice that they are tapered from the eye down the head. This is to help come through grass, sparse vegetation, hydrilla, that type of thing. Basically, you would fish this by casting it out a long ways with a steady retrieve. You wouldn't hop this along the bottom. The trailers for this type of jig would be any swim bait type trailer, buzztail, worm, grubs, anything that will create a nice tail action. You can even use the Venom Dream Craws. Let me just take a look at that quickly. This is the Venom Dream Craw, an excellent trailer. These ridges on the craws itself will actually make it flap in the water when you retrieve it. So this will also be an excellent trailer for the swim jig. Those guys rig paddle tail flukes, that type of trailer on these jigs, and they swim them past reed lines, isolated cover, drop-offs, basically anything that you can think of that's not gunk. And when I say gunk, I mean deep dark holes filled with the thickest cover you can think of. They are not designed to fish in thick heavy cover. They are designed to be swimmed. Next we'll be looking at the Mad Tom jig. This is more of a finesse offering from Venom. I don't have a Mad Tom jig, but this is the rubber or the creature that's actually a trailer on this jig. It is paired with a dew head, which is a little smaller than this one that I have here, but it looks exactly the same, with a light weed guard, and that's basically your Mad Tom jig. I haven't fished with these yet, but I soon will. I think that these will produce very nice fish under the right conditions. But this is definitely a finesse type offering if you look at the size of the trailer. Next, we'll be looking at one of my all-time favorite Venom jigs. This is the True Image jig. It comes with a little rattle. I actually have one unpacked already, yeah? And there's the little rattle. Now you can attach this rattle when you're fishing very dirty, gunky water, just to help the fish locate the bait. But generally, I don't attach it. Most of our dams around here has good visibility, and I will only attach this if I'm fishing dirty water. I like to think of this jig as a hybrid between your normal casting jig and a football head. We will cover the football head right now after this. The great thing about these jigs is the angle that it lays on the bottom. If you take a look at that, that is the angle that it will lay on the bottom, presenting your trailer in the defensive position. Now these jigs I fish on heavier cover than the swim jigs or the casting jigs. I like throwing them in dark holes, thick cover, hydrilla, lily pads, basically anything that you can think of or anything that you see where a big bass might be hiding. A little later in the video we're going to go through preparation of your jigs and how to prepare your trailers as well. Venom True Image jig. Next up we'll be looking at the locker up football jig from Venom. This is also an awesome little lure. I've definitely got a few of these in my arsenal every day. I've already unpacked one here. The first thing that you'll notice is the big football head shape. Now the theory behind this is when you're fishing rocks or any type of thick cover, the football head will actually help the lure get over crevices and stop it from getting snagged. Another great thing about them is when you're fishing thick timber or twigs, it will actually roll over like that. It will roll over the cover. The great thing that the Venom football jig has is these extra little weed guards here. They are made from metal and they're bendable. This will help to keep your jig upright. It's also extra protection from weeds and snags. These jigs I fish in some of the heaviest cover I can think of. Rocks, deep dark holes, timber, laydowns. They are a great lure in the bass fisherman's arsenal. I would say I probably spend 60% of my jig fishing with this lure, and the other 40% will be divided between the True Image and your normal casting jig. With regards to the tackle I use to fish jigs, some people say I'm crazy, but I generally like to fish them with 12 pounds fluoro. And when I really hit the gunky stuff, the gnarly hectic cover, I would scale up to 15. Most people use 20 or 25 pounds, but I have found that even though they say fluorocarbon is invisible underwater, my pickup rate from fish has drastically increased when I scale down my line. I feel that 15 pound is way more than enough to winch that fish out of its hole. As for the rod, for me personally, I prefer a 6'6" Berkeley lightning rod shock. The main reason being that I can pitch with this rod all day. it is featherlight. It's a great pitching rod. It's got a strong backbone to winch those fish out of those holes, and the tip is forgiving, especially when a big bass shakes that head. You need that tip to take some of the strain off the line, especially if you're scaling down on your line. But as I said, 15 pound is way than enough for me. Let's go a little into the jig preparation. These jigs are 100% fishable out of the packet. But if you're like me, a bit finicky about your presentation, the following tips could increase the amount of fish that you land. This is a jig I've removed earlier from the package. Like I said, it's 100% fishable and there's nothing wrong with it. But there's a few pointers I can give you guys to increase its presentation on the water. Increase your likelihood of landing more fish. The first thing that we want to do is trim back this weed guard. As you can see, it is quite long, but basically all you need is to cover the tip of the hook and the barb. So what I'll generally do is just press it flat like that. I'll measure where the barb is and I'll cut in a straight line, no fancy cuts or anything. I'll just trim the weed guard back. Like so. Now you can see it is just barely covering the barb, and that is sufficient to keep you from snagging. The next tip I can give you guys is to trim the skirt. These skirts are excellent skirts. I've actually bought a pack from Venom which has got 3 in, and I absolutely love them. You have to separate the front and the back part of the skirt like so. Make sure you keep all of them together and just trim a few millimeters off the front. I would say that's about half a centimeter. The reason for trimming the skirt is, as you can see now, it's different lengths. What will happen under the water is it will flare better. The longer parts will be more to the bottom and the shorter parts will flare up. This creates the illusion of a more bulky bait. And I found that this simple little trick will increase your amount of fish in the boat drastically. In this segment we'll be looking at some of the trailers available. One thing that I forgot to mention earlier, you'll notice that the swim jig has a horizontal eye. This helps through grass and that type of thing. The true image has a vertical eye. Now this is a great setup for bouncing the bait. As I showed you guys earlier, the way that this will be presented on the bottom of the fishery is at that angle. Now when you bounce this bait, the force will actually come from that front eye. It's much easier and a better presentation for the fish. That angle will also help you get over some obstacles or twigs, rocks, and it's also got a broader head that will also help with the crevices between the rocks. Let's look at my favorite trailer from Venom. This is the Dream Crawl in red bark color. Now I've caught in the last 3 weeks over 100 bass with this combo. It is especially potent in the pre-spawn. Now how you would rig this is actually you will have to trim this down. Cut about a centimeter of the back of the dream crawl. And that is all you need. This is the tricky part, as you will have to get the skirt out of the way. And also move the brush card away. Don't force it too much, as you can break it out. So just force it enough to get enough of a gap to rig your dream crawl. So I like to have the eyes at the top, so you'll rig it with the eyes down. When you hit the bend, you can protrude the hook, and then you just slide the crawl into place. Now that is a perfect little lure for a big bass. Wouldn't you agree? The great thing about these dream crawls, these little tendrils here, now with the slightest water movement, these tendrils will move along, and it's enough to entice a bass to take it. When I pitch these into holes, lots of times I will just leave it there, dead sticking it. The bass will pick it up. Other times, after the first initial hop, pause, they will pick it up. At the end of the video, I will share some photos of some of the nicer bass that I've caught on this over the last few weeks. This is just irresistible to bass. On this lure, you will be running on the bottom. Like I said, pitch it out to your hole or your cover and just leave it there. Sometimes I'll let it rest for up to 2 minutes, and I have taken some bass where they hit it at about 1.5 minutes of just lying there. And like I said, at that angle and with the water, this crawl will be in a defensive posture, and that sometimes entices the bass to react, and they eat this thing completely. You will still catch small bass on this. I've caught a few small bass on this where this whole jig setup just made it into its mouth. But generally, this is a big bass bait. If you decide to fish with this, you better hold on. This is another great trailer, the Sweet Dream. I've unfortunately only have one left. I've used all of them. Now this trailer has a dual purpose. It's got the big flap at the back, and that's great for hopping. As you can imagine, when you hop the lure, that flap will just be moving through the water, enticing like that. But you can also split these little flappers. When you split them, you'll have a dual action. We've had great success on these Sweet Dreams, and it's definitely something I will keep on my boat. The other newer trailer is the Better Beaver. Unfortunately, I don't have some of them yet, but I'll definitely be getting some. That'll also be a great trailer for any of these jigs, including the swim jig, as it's got long tendrils at the back between the claws, which you can use for swimming. You can use it for stationary presentations. These trailers are purpose made, and it's some of the best I've ever seen. Okay, let's talk a little bit about when and where I will fish these jigs. I did touch on it earlier in the video, but basically the great thing about a jig is you can fish these all year round. They are, however, especially potent during the pre-spawn and early winter times. A football jig like this, I will fish in the thickest, heaviest cover I can find. If you're working a reed line and you see a deep dark hole, I will definitely pitch this in there repeatedly, not just once, repeatedly. Pitch it in and let it lie. If you don't get reaction within a minute or so, reel it out and pitch it in again. Then you can start working different techniques. Let it lie and hop the bait and let it lie again. Most times they'll pick it up right after that second hop. You can also drag this bait. You can drag it along the bottom. If you have sensitive line like the fluorocarbon, you can actually feel the type of cover that you're going over. I really like these football jigs from Venom, Locker Up. These extra deflectors are amazing. It'll help keep your bait upright and also deflect, just that extra little protection against snagging. My biggest worry was that this will actually deter the fish from biting, but believe you me, they don't mind. With a football jig like this, because I'm fishing it in heavier and heavier type of cover, I typically won't trim the guard back that far. I would only trim it up to about the bend of the hook. You can see this one is about a mil or two out, so I'll just trim this about a millimeter. I have seen guys doing all sorts of crazy weird angles on these guards, but I found just a straight cut is all that's needed. You can see now that the guard is just about covering the bend, and that is enough. That is perfect. Next up is one of my favorites, the True Image jig. Now you will always find one of these rigged up on my boat ready to go. When you're fishing, doing your thing, and you spot a hole, a lay down, isolated cover, brush, twigs, reeds, lily pads, I would pitch this there first every time. Now a lot of guys has neglected the jig, and I've seen this many times. Maybe because it's old. It's certainly older than I am. It's been around for years and years and years. The great thing about it is they produce big bass. You might think it's boring to start with, but once you see the type and the volume of bass that these lures produce, it will quickly become one of your favorites. I especially love this jig. It is an awesome bait, and I promise you that this will deliver fish to you. These jigs mimic crawfish, crabs, bottom dwelling type of bait, and believe me, they are big bass baits. They deliver big bass, mainly because it's a big chunk. It's a chunky, thick presentation, and especially with the cut skirt, it will look even bigger. The skirt will move gently with the water, as well as the tendrils on this dream core. You can pitch this into the holes and hold on for your life, because I can guarantee some big bass will eat this. It's a great lure, and it's something that will never leave my arsenal. As for the swim jig, I would recommend not cutting the skirt, as you will be burning this continuously. It will rarely touch the bottom. Now, the idea behind this is the profile of the silhouette it creates in the water is that of a bait fish. It will be thicker around here and a little thinner at the back, and you'll also notice that it has eyes. I also don't fiddle too much with the brush cord on this. It's a little softer than the other jigs, but as you can see, it's about just the right length anyway. I certainly want to get more time fishing the swim jigs, as I've been focusing on the true image and the football jigs, but this will definitely see some road time on my boat in the next few weeks. I want to thank you guys for joining us. Please subscribe to the Venom channel, as there will be more videos uploaded soon. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, be sure to comment.